Good morning, good afternoon, I should say, guys. And welcome to another edition of FanDuel Friday, sponsored by RotoGrinders and the good folks of FanDuel here. And we're going to be touching on NBA today first, and then we'll be back later on with the other stream for NFL. But I am your host, Andre Alford, go by Drizzy26 on the DFS streets, and I'm here with my good friend, my good buddy, TJ Zwarych. How's everything doing today?
Fresh off of Black Panther Wakanda Forever last night, and I'll be honest, the eyes are still drying from all the tears in that movie. It was so incredible, but I'm ready to dive into today's NBA slate, NFL slate. After this, we got a bit of an interesting one for NBA today. Some clear chalk value right off the bat. And then we'll see if some more things open up throughout the day. Obviously, there's some big injury potential things, even in just this first game. Paolo Banchero and Chris Paul both listed as questionable. So we could have some chaos, but after Black Panther Wakanda Forever, I'm ready for the chaos.
Yes, definitely. I am too. That movie was excellent. If you guys have not gone check it out, go check out Black Panther. I know it's kind of a free promo for him, but that movie was phenomenal. Definitely top five, in my opinion. But yeah, let's just dive right into it. So, it's a what is it like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like an 8 game, 7, 8 game slate today that we have. That's like the happy medium. I think that's a perfect amount. We got LeBron out, Giannis out, Drew Holiday out. So like a lot of some of the top studs are out. So that leaves you left with like some very few, but guys that do have some upside with Steph, Jokic, AD. Sorry about that. With AD and Shy and a couple other guys that run out the 10K range. Who is your favorite spend up on the slate today?
So for me, this still could be subject to change. If we end up getting Chris Paul out for this one again, it might end up being somebody like a Devin Booker. But as it stands right now, I think my top spend up on the slate by a pretty decent margin is probably going to be Anthony Davis. How about you?
Yeah, AD's in a good spot against Sacramento. He should dominate. I personally want to say, yeah, he should be my top spin today. But I really, really, really kind of want to try to take advantage of this mid range today a little bit. I think there's some guys I do like you said, Devin Booker would be someone I want to get to. Um, and Shy's been playing well, but it's a tough match against Toronto. We'll see how he does there. But AD, I think would probably within that 10K range be my top spin, and I want to get to. Like you, it's just a fantastic matchup. Him coming at 15% ownership is just crazy to me. I'm not surprised he's one of the more higher owned players on the slate, especially with LeBron being out and just Russell Westbrook coming off the bench. So AD should be able to do whatever he wants and command all the usage with that first unit today. So that's how I view it as too. So what else are you looking at today that you like today from I guess the overview of the slate?
So in terms of spend ups, AD is my favorite, but I also really like Jokic, Ja, Tatum, Shy, and then Booker. Those are going to be the higher priced guys that I'm looking to target today. If Karl Anthony Towns or Domantas Sabonis beat me, then it is what it is. But even I'm with you. Like this mid tier on FanDuel, the biggest elephant in the room today is going to be almost 70% Bobby Portis. Like
70s.
He's way underpriced. He's in a phenomenal spot. He is the cash game lock of locks, but on an 8-game slate, 70% ownership. Like, I think there's maybe some ways that we can get a little bit different in tournaments. As long as he doesn't put up a 50 piece, I think you're still going to be able to win a tournament without this guy today at that crazy of ownership. So for me, I'm not telling anybody not to play Bobby Portis. If you have a different lineup and he fits, yeah, hell yeah, put Bobby Portis in there. But if the rest of your lineup is you got some other chalky guys in there, maybe don't have him as a priority target for your main tournament lineup. If you're running 150, maybe either lock him or go heavily underweight on him. That's kind of, I think, one of the two ways you want to handle that. Or if you want to just say, I'm going to get 70% of them and Bobby Portis isn't going to be the reason I win or lose this slate today, I think that's fair too. But in this kind of mid-range tier below the high-priced guys, we got some players like Fred VanVleet, like Jaylen Brown, De'Aaron Fox, Julius Randle that I really like today for tournaments that I think have the potential to put up a very high score. Anthony Edwards, $7,200, just way, way too cheap. We got Russell Westbrook in the last game of the night facing Sacramento with no LeBron. I'm with you. I think although there are some of these guys in the upper tier that I do really like, it could just end up being a mid-range day for me as well.
Yeah, I strongly agree with that 100%. I think Bobby Portis personally is a lock. 5,800 is too cheap. I understand that he didn't have a ceiling game last game, but it's the front line of the Spurs. This game was, I think, it's still going to be competitive because they don't have they don't have Drew today or Giannis. But I think you have to. I don't. Last time I said you only needed one, maybe two Milwaukee guys. And turns out you probably needed like three or four by the way they all played well last time. So definitely, I think Milwaukee is the biggest value on the slate for sure, as far as from a team perspective, and needing them, and needing probably a few of those pieces. How many do you think you would need today, from your opinion, on the slate? Because me, I think you probably need, depending on price wise, I feel like at least probably one or two. Well, definitely one, but probably two.
In cash, I'd go 3. In tournaments, because some of these guys have been priced up a little bit, I don't feel the need to go quite as crazy. We got Brooke Lopez, who, like, this is the second end of a back to back for them. And, or I guess, no, never mind. It was 2 days ago. So, yeah, Lopez, I think, is a very interesting pivot off of Portis for tournaments. He obviously had the big ceiling game last game. It went to overtime, but the 23 shot attempts is what I'm most interested in, because if he's out there without Giannis, he's going to get the blocks, he's going to get the rebounds. But the fact that his usage rate was that high has me very interested. And I think the pivot I'm most likely to try and get underweight on in tournaments, for me personally, probably isn't Bobby Portis, and it'll be Javon Carter.
Yeah.
5,100, and we're going to see 50 to 60% ownership on this guy. Yeah, he had a huge game last game, but this is still Javon Carter on an 8-game slate, and he's not super cheap anymore. I'm willing to take the shot that Javon Carter won't play like Luka Doncic in a second straight game, and I'll if he beats me, he beats me. But at this type of ownership today, I'm just gonna. I might even, like, if I were running 150, I might even hit the X.
Wow. Like, I learned my lesson last time. I don't know if I hit the X on him, but he would be in my player pool. I would just come underweight on him. So, probably do like 30% Javon Carter, compared to what we have the field looking at, like about 60 right now. Because it's still a good price, and he's going to play as many minutes as he can handle. And I like that. If you're not playing Bobby Portis, I think you have to play Brooke Lopez, because then you're anticipating him having a good game. But if you think Bobby Portis is going to have a good game, then don't play Brooke Lopez. You can also make a rule with that with the player groups that we have here, on RG, which is a great tool to use. But yeah, I think that right now that's like some of the best value that we have on the slate, so far. And I think probably, like you said, I think two might be needed, maybe definitely one, in your lineup today. Um, let's take a look also from a standpoint. I know you mentioned some other guys here, like outside of their price point, as far as that are cheaper than what we are accustomed to them being, like Anthony Edwards. Russell Westbrook has been this price pretty much for a while now. Been playing well. How high of a priority will these guys be for you, today? Are they like a must play? Like you're gonna get well over the field under?
So Anthony Davis is like must-play territory for me. I'm going to be looking to get way, way, way over the field on that if he's going to be sticking around 15, 20% today. Like if I was running 150, I'd be getting probably 40, 50%. He's just my favorite stud today. Domantas Sabonis doesn't play any defense. I still don't understand that trade they made whatsoever. Tyrese Halliburton was the best player in the deal, and he would be the best player on the Kings. So I don't really get that one very much. But since it happened, we'll deal with the reality, and the Kings don't play any defense. They're favored in this game in LA. My favorite kind of mini stack of the night is De'Aaron Fox and Anthony Davis together. Like, that's number one for me. I could see Davis having a good defensive game and blocking a ton of shots on Sabonis and him not really getting going. But Russell Westbrook and Co is not going to do a good job of defending De'Aaron Fox. So Fox is my favorite mid-range tournament option on the slate, along with Davis being my favorite spend up. And this game is actually the priority for me more than this Milwaukee and San Antonio game. It's this Sacramento and LA game. We have Lonnie Walker still listed as questionable, which leaves us a 4,200 Patrick Beverley. Wenyen Gabriel's been playing minutes at 3,900. Troy Brown playing minutes at 4,300. Austin Reeves, I don't really want to play, but he's playing minutes at cheap, and he's cheap too. These are actually the guys I would rather pivot off of the Milwaukee chalk with in tournaments, get a little bit different with, and then run it back on the other side with De'Aaron Fox and some cheap value like Malik Monk, $4,700. He's probably my favorite tournament value of the slate. And a mini game stack of this one mixed with maybe a little chalk from Milwaukee, maybe a little mini game stack from this Memphis and Minnesota game. Maybe I want to pay up for Ja and then run it back on the other side with Anthony Edwards in the mid tier. These two later games, Memphis and Minnesota, Sacramento and LA. Those are the two that I'm going to be targeting the most for tournaments today.
Okay, and I completely get that and understand why. Like, they're just phenomenal spots today. I typically will try to go for that sometimes, but also like to target like a team's weakness or pretty much players that do perform well in their spots or against their opponents. So, like you mentioned before, also Julius Randle, I think he's in a good spot today. I also think Obi Toppin is someone you could go to as a cheapy guy that can provide some so gives you probably like 30, maybe 35 fantasy points in this spot here against Detroit. Isaiah Hartenstein, I think also if he's going to play the minutes, his minutes have been decreasing over the last 3 games, and I'm more so thinking that that's just because of the matchups that he's in. Based on more on that than anything.
If he starts, he becomes the best value play on the entire slate.
Yeah,
like he is. It's Isaiah Hartenstein if he starts. He played 38 minutes in his last start, and he played and he still put up a good game for his score. So Hartenstein is the value of the slate if he starts. If he doesn't, if it's Jericho Sims again, we did see Sims. Like, he hadn't been interesting to me at all, but we did see Sims get all the way up to 26 minutes last game, and he put up a very good score for his salary. So Sims and Toppin, if Sims is the starter, only play one of them, obviously, but Sims and Toppin would be somewhat interesting to me as values if Sims is the starter.
Mm-hmm.
But for me on this entire slate, kind of how I want to look at it is I want to mix and match the Milwaukee, LA, Sacramento value, and even some guys like a Chuma Okeke and Obi Toppin, and Chuma is obviously dependent on Banchero being out. But Chuma and Cameron Payne, like if those values open up, then I'm going to be matching those with mini stud game stacks. So, I mean, Jokic with Tatum, Jokic with Brown, Devin Booker with I'm probably not going to run it back with anybody on Orlando other than Chuma. But like Booker with the two Boston guys. If Cade Cunningham plays playing a Cade lineup and running it back with Julius Randle. If Cade doesn't play, doing it with Jaden Ivey, or maybe we'll see some cheap guard value open up in Detroit if Cunningham doesn't play. Same thing in Toronto. I'll play a Fred VanVleet and run it back with Shai's stack. On Milwaukee, if I'm running a 1 to 3 lineup type scenario today, I'm probably either going to be going underweight on this Milwaukee team, or I'll play Carter, Portis, Allen, and Lopez, and I'll run it back with Keldon Johnson and Devin Vassell. Hope this game stays nice and close. Not much defense is played. It's the concentrated usage. And if people are playing Portis and Carter, well, I'm just going to play this whole game. So as those guys are scoring, so is everybody else. That's kind of how I want to look at that one. Cleveland and Golden State, I think, is going to be the most overlooked game on the slate. And we kind of view Golden State and Cleveland as two top-tier defensive teams. They're not this year, especially Golden State. Golden State's been playing really bad defense. Cleveland's playing nowhere near at the level that they have in the past. Cough, cough, it's because of Donovan Mitchell. And so this, I think, is a very interesting tournament game. You got Garland, you got Allen, you got Mobley, and you got Mitchell. I wouldn't want to play Mitchell and Garland together. I wouldn't want to play Allen and Mobley together, but one each of them is very interesting. A Kevin Love in tournaments is very interesting. And Stephen Curry has shown a major ceiling a lot this year, and still nobody ever wants to play him. If he's going to be getting Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland defense, we don't want to go inside on this Cleveland team because we know they got Mobley and Allen in there blocking shots, but Steph could have himself a day. And so I think he makes for one of the most interesting tournament spend-ups on the slate. And then, of course, my favorite game on the entire slate is the Sacramento LA game.
Yeah, definitely. So, and I don't mind that at all. I think that touching on that game is very crucial too, because we saw like no one played Steph the last time. It went up for 6. No one really played Steph last time. It went for 68 fantasy points in a match in Sacramento. His price at 10-4 is high, but I guess we're just not used to seeing him go this crazy, or we haven't seen it because last year he did, but it wasn't like to this level or this extent. So I'm definitely on board with that for sure. I love when you talk on the other side too. When you talk about Cleveland, like getting a guy like Kevin Love in there, I think he can provide a good value at 4.8K. Playing against that front court that I don't think is that great. So I mean, well, that isn't that big, but and he's not going to see a lot of Draymond defense, so Kevin Love can easily take advantage of that possibly too. So I do like that call a lot today as well.
Something I love about the Steph call too is like the opportunity cost to get him doesn't feel that high today. There's some other really good guards I want to play, but pivoting off of a crazy high chalky Javon Carter at point guard to play Steph Curry on an only 8-game slate where he's going to be super underowned. There aren't that many studs, and they're easy to pay up for the studs. If I want to plug in, say Paul is out, and I want to plug in Booker, AD, and Steph, that still leaves me over 5K per position. We've talked about a lot of value. We've talked about a lot of mid-range guys we like. That's not difficult to get to. So the fact that I can get to him easily, it's a great spot, and he's underowned, makes him a pretty strong tournament play for me. So it still falls behind the potential Fox Davis stack for me. It still falls behind guys like Devin Booker if Chris Paul is going to be out again. But it's kind of right in line to me with Ja Morant, Steph Curry in terms of tournament plays.
I completely get that, and I do understand and agree with that 100%. You mentioned Ja Morant too, so I like him. I like Desmond Bain though too. He's been balling out of this world this year so far. Been playing really, really, really well. As you see, the minutes are up the last 3 games. Our minutes are like mid-30s now, so that's good. And he's just shooting the ball really, really, really well. So I think that continues here in the spot. So I probably would roster him to get to him a good, decent amount. I know before, like I mentioned, Steven Adams a couple shows ago. I think he makes for a decent tournament play today. Just because even though that front court is big, he's gonna need to be out there.
That's when we want to play Steven Adams. Is when him and Jonas Valanciunas are two guys that it's like if they have a bad center matchup, quote unquote, those are the nights that you want to play them. Yeah, when they're facing Rudy Gobert, when they're facing Yusuf Nurkic, a big dude who stays in the paint,
Yep.
that's when you want to play Jonas Valanciunas and Steven Adams.
Yeah, because you don't want to play again when he goes against a guy like Draymond. That's he gonna stay in the paint, but he's gonna also be on the outside moving the ball, and Steven Adams gonna be a little bit out of his zone there too. So don't mind that. Also, we forgot to mention the boot champ here as well. I believe that's his name for Milwaukee. He played well last game against OKC. This is a now I know this is a rookie that they've been starting over Nuora. So he's someone I think we have to consider now playing, maybe possibly playing more than Nuora because that's what he's been doing lately.
Especially at super low ownership too.
Yeah,
Like if we're gonna get these chalky Milwaukee guys, I would rather just play the Grayson Allens and the Marjan Beauchamps, the guys that nobody else is playing, because like Beauchamp only played like low 20 minutes in the first game he started, but he shot like 1 for 10 or something like that. Like he was
yeah,
horrible. But so they gave him the opportunity. It didn't work. 1 for 9. There you go. They
yeah.
gave him the opportunity. It didn't work. But they went back to him in the next game, and all of a sudden he shot well and he put up a good score. So I don't know how super high his ceiling is. We're not getting any assists from him or anything like that. But
You got
at
some
low
steals, you
ownership,
got rebounds, and you got some threes. The
yeah, like
key.
at low ownership and this like on this opportunity that he has,
Mhm.
I think he's a great value play in tournaments.
I think on this slate, I think I might at 4K. I'll take my chances at that price. I really will. I think that that's a phenomenal, excellent play. Um, I one person I also want to mention that does do well in the others. I know I talked about that Memphis game briefly. I didn't touch on the other side. Anthony Edwards, we know is cheap. Towns you mentioned before, but D'Angelo Russell. I believe if I'm correct, historically he plays well against Memphis. Um, I don't know why. Like that's the one thing about this about D'Angelo Russell, in my opinion. He plays well against certain teams. I don't know why. I don't know what it is, but this is a spot where I can see him having possibly like an upside game here. So that's someone I would definitely want to try to get in a roster for sure today. Um, and then we also talked about Fred VanVleet. I think he's on borderline lock with as far as long as what's is being that out. I think that he's a fantastic play. The Spurs side, Vassell will be someone that's important to get for me to get to. I think today as well. Um, Played 39 minutes last time and give you 36 the fantasy points. If he gives you more than that, which I think he can, especially against this Milwaukee team that has really nobody out there, it'd be a great spot. I think that's an interesting, like you said, a full game set like you mentioned before. That's the one that he would be definitely be in that pool for me, for sure. Yeah, is there anyone else that you want to mention before we get out of here?
No individual plays, but they're gonna pop out as we get news throughout the day. We're still waiting on this Chris Paul, Paolo Banchero, and other news throughout the slate. So make sure you stay tuned in the comments section. If you have any questions, we will answer them throughout the day here on FanDuel Friday. Drop them in the YouTube chat, drop them on the RotoGrinders page. Even if you want to drop them in the Discord and message us, and make sure you tag us so that we see it. We're here all day. Let us know and let us know your questions, and we will answer them and adjust our favorite plays throughout the day. And I think a fun giveaway for today, for this FanDuel Friday week of RG Premium free week, we want to give away is best point per dollar Milwaukee Buck today. Who is the best point per dollar Milwaukee Buck? And tiebreaker is how many points they score. So if you're firing in Bobby Portis, make sure you put in a score in there because there's going to be other people guessing that as well. And so give your best point per dollar Milwaukee Buck play and put the score you think they're going to get, and we will pick whoever's closest will win one free week of RG Premium. You can drop that in the comment section on RotoGrinders. Drop that in the comment section in the YouTube page. And if you are on YouTube, make sure you hit that like button for us as well.
Yes, definitely for sure. And yes, once you do, make sure once you do put your comment in that you want to what you pick, what you guys like, or point per dollar for the contest. Probably try to DM us. This is our Twitters are right here next to our names here, so that way we can make sure we get you that free week. I've reached out to a couple of people from previous weeks, and they have still not got back to me on them. So if you have Twitter, DM us. If not, Instagram. That's my Instagram is Jersey26. So you can find me there, and I'll make sure I get you that free week because I really want to make sure you're taken care of here at RotoGrinders and get what you rightfully deserve. So now before we get out of here, I'm going to say, what do you think takes down the slate tonight, TJ?
I'm going to say you need at least 3 players in the late night hammer of Sacramento and the LA Lakers.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to say, I think now that I look at this, I wasn't going to play much, but now I might play. I'm not going to play much. I'm probably like maybe 3 or 4 lineups now, but I think San Antonio Milwaukee mini game stack is definitely in a winning lineup tonight for sure. So that's it for me, and that's it for TJ. Now we're going to get out of here, and good luck tonight, and hope you have a good one.